Well, after a buddy of mine messaged me, I decided I'm going to do my first actual automotive review, because that's what this was all supposed to be anyway. And I have a new title for my show. I'm going to start calling it The Meter's Running. But anyway, the first vehicle I'm going to review is the one I probably have the most experience driving right now. That's the 2015 Dodge Grand Caravan SXT, i.e. cab. Now, this vehicle was not produced for fleet service. Before we go on, let me define fleet service. Fleet service is where they're mass-produced, bought in bulk, and they're used for police vehicles or rental vehicles or something like that. The Caravan was never designed to be a fleet vehicle. It has become a fleet vehicle. People still use them for their fleets, but it was never meant to be a fleet vehicle. The Ford Crown Victoria P71 Interceptor, i.e. cop car, that was always designed to be a fleet vehicle. This, however, was not. Sup, Lurch? I'm laying some education on you tonight. Anyway, the Caravan started in the mid to late 80s, early 90s, around that time period, and it was originally came out by Dodge. You hate that Honda Odyssey in front of you? Blame the Grand Caravan. You can't stand that Nissan Quest next to you? Blame the Grand Caravan. Because for minivans, you had either full-size vans or something called an MPV, or multi-personal vehicle. Mazda made something called their MPV a while back. That's how they actually sold the car and titled the car an MPV. At the end of the day, a minivan is a shorter, both in height and in width, vehicle with more seats. That's all it is. This vehicle seats 7. 3 in the back, 2 in the middle, 2 in the front. Again, this is a base model. How does it drive? It's a van. You have a high ride height, about as high as a truck, but you have a high ride height. Your center of gravity is stupid high. So there is a bit of body roll. However, not as much as you might come to expect from a Dodge Caravan. Even with that said, it does handle its weight well. You could take a fast corner getting onto the interstate, like the 4-leaf clover or something like that, and the vehicle handles fine. You're not being pulled out of line unless you're doing way above a normal safe speed. I mean, if a curve says 45 miles an hour, technically you're supposed to do 45 miles an hour, but this thing will take it at 65 miles an hour like a champ, and it's not pulling you out of line. I'd put its horsepower somewhere around the 200s. Same thing with its torque, somewhere in the 200s. It has a 3.6-liter variable valve timing engine. Now, what is variable valve timing? Variable valve timing is basically VTEC, yo. It allows the valves to open sharper at higher RPMs. Dual cam system. The minute you spin up on that higher cam, it's usually for performance. Granted, performance and minivan usually don't belong in the same sentence. It does have a very stiff ride, but again, it's a minivan. This thing is meant to cart around your up-teen kids to soccer practice. That being said, it does have a shit ton of cubby holes. A shit ton. Even at a base model, the stone go in the floor, the stone go in the back. They need to stop pulling over school buses thinking that they're the ones trafficking drugs across the border and start looking at these little fuckers, because they have cubby holes everywhere. It's the DeLorean of the Dodge lineup. And for those of you that aren't old enough to get the DeLorean reference, you're not old enough to watch this, go back and fuck to sleep. But it's a peppy little motor in this. The 3.6 is a peppy little motor. It's not going to win any drag races. It's not. But for what it is, it does have a good bit of power. They make a supercharger for this engine. Why? I have no clue. Would I drive a supercharged minivan? Yeah, I would. But you could put a supercharger on anything I'd drive it. You could supercharge a go-kart and I'd be first in line to get in it. I think they call that an aerial atom. Although there is some beefs I have with this vehicle. And it's not just this vehicle. I guess it's the entire automotive world nowadays. For some reason, my internet connection is slowing down. But it's this. Plastic everywhere. It's all plastic. The whole fucking thing is plastic. Why? Brushed aluminum, wood, leather, rubber. Everything's plastic. Every bit of this thing is plastic. And every single car made today. Plastic. Come on, guys. Give us something. Something a little bit more than just plastic. It's annoying. But I mean, these things are not cheap. Starting off, a base model new one will run you about $28,000. 28 G's. The seats. Oh. The seats are stiffer than a fucking pensioner who just took his Viagra. I mean, it could be me just getting fat and old, but by the end of 12 hours, my back is wrecked. And again, it could be just it's a base model vehicle. They didn't use, there's different sets of foam, different kinds of covers, blah, 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 what have you. The seats are still uncomfortable. I mean, look at this. Here's the driver's seat. Here's a finger. Can you see it? It doesn't go into the seat. There should be a little give there. Just a little bit for comfort. Holy shit. And in this world of technology, and in this world of unattentive people, why does something this big not come standard with a backup camera? It's kind of a necessity these days for people that don't know how to drive. For me, it doesn't bother me because I use my rear view mirrors and I use my side view mirrors just fine. But for something this size, it should be standard with a backup camera. Or at least warning sensors when you're backing up. Standard model doesn't have it. Doesn't come with it. And I guess Dodge, to keep their aggressive manners, they outfit a minivan with this aggressive white and red tack. There's the tachometer. There's the speedometer. White and red. Catch your fucking attention. Look at me, ref. Okay. Why? It's little styling cues like that just, I don't understand. And in the end, I mean, you can really tell that this, much like most vehicles nowadays, are designed by accounting. Their design teams and their experimental teams come up with some fantastic things. And then the accountants get a hold of it and go, no, we won't use that, we won't use that, we won't use that, we won't use that. I mean, I'm willing to bet, and I was talking to my buddy Ross about this, that the captain's chairs in these are the same captain's chairs as in a Jeep Wrangler. Let that sink in for a second. And it's all in the name of saving money. Car manufacturers want to save as much money as possible by making as many parts as interchangeable between vehicles. This 3.6 liter variable valve timing engine comes in a whole host of things. It comes in the Dodge Journey. I think the 3.6 liter comes in the Dodge Charger lineup. It comes in the Jeep lineup. It's just, why? People, and I may have praised Dodge for not, bending their whim at least to their aesthetic design to look like everybody else, because they don't. But they're still following the same flaws and the same patterns. Things like this are the reason why we had to bail the automakers out in the first place. It's because they make boring fudge boxes nobody wants to fucking drive. It's one of the reasons why people don't enjoy driving nowadays. It's because it's all the same. It's all boring. Fuel economy, you'll get roughly about 20 miles per gallon as long as you don't drive it like your hair's on fire. That might not sound good nowadays, but when you realize you're driving something that has the aerodynamic properties of a brick and probably weighs in somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds, it ain't bad, especially on a fucking six-banger. But overall, I'd probably give the vehicle about a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, maybe. I'd probably give the higher trim levels a 7 out of 10 because, like I said, they probably have more comfortable seats. They probably have a backup camera. They probably have more things that a vehicle this size should have. You know, I mean, I'd hate to take this thing across country because the only thing that's saving your back and your hips by the time you take this thing across country is morphine. Like I said, that could be me just being a fat old man. It probably is me being just a fat old man. But these seats for a long period of time are not comfortable. Is it built to last? No, it's not. This vehicle will not stand the test of time, which is kind of sad considering 2017 is the last year they're making the Dodge Grand Caravan. Almost 30 years of the Caravan name. It's going to the wayside. Well, okay. But the demand for this vehicle is no longer in need. People buy crossovers. Sorry, we'll wait for the guy on the rice rocket to roll by because he likes to hear his engine rev, I guess. All in all, it's about a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 vehicle. Like I said, the higher trim levels will probably be a 7 out of 10. They make an RT version of a Caravan. Why they make a Racing Technologies version of the Dodge Caravan? I don't know. Would I drive one? Probably. I mean, what the Caravan really states, you know, this is holding me over until I can afford an SUV. That's the kind of impression that you get in a Caravan. Is I couldn't afford the Durango or I couldn't afford the Suburban or the Tahoe, so I'm going to pick up a minivan to kind of tide me over until I can afford it. Do they hold their value? Not really. If you have a minivan, people know you're going to abuse the ever-living fuck out of it. I know that. That affects the value. The interior of this thing was not built to be resilient. It's not. They know that if you're buying a minivan, you're going to be hauling a lot of people or a lot of kids. And they still don't make the interior tough enough to deal with something like that. I don't exactly agree with that, but what do I know? Again, I'm just a cab driver. But I guess the death of the minivan itself is... Really? I guess the death of the minivan itself is kind of coming to an end of an era. It's the death of the baby boomer generation. Because who bought minivans? Baby boomers. They're the ones that bought minivans. They're the ones that had the gaggle of kids to take to church every Sunday. Now that the minivan's being phased out, and the crossover it's taking its place, you can kind of see almost the changing of the guard when it comes to the modern family. Will you see minivans rolling around for probably another 10, 20 years? Probably. After that, can't say you will. These things are not built to last. They're not. I mean, you can hear that. I don't know if my mic will pick it up, but listen to just how thin the metal is. That's the door. You know, what's between you and the car hitting you when it T-bones you. Not very thick. But you'll see people that turn minivans into sleepers now. Why? Well, it's a very good idea. Most people don't expect a minivan to be coming at you. They don't expect a minivan to light the tires up and leave your ass standing at a light. Now, you do see enthusiasts nowadays picking up minivans. They'll turn them into sleepers, or they'll turn them into fucking, you know, DB drag racers and stuff like that. DB drag race is simply just ripping out all the seats and filling the back end with amplifiers and fucking subwoofers. Now, sleepers is something that looks normal, but you pop open the hood and, oh boy, that's a lot of horsepower. And like I said, they make a supercharger for this car, so an enthusiast could pick up a 2015 Dodge Caravan, swap out the seats for Recaro race seats, throw a supercharger onto the hood, and nobody would be the wiser. Until, of course, they get left at the light. I am surprised about the quality of the speakers that come in this thing. Everybody knows I like my music, but usually you get those thin-ass paper speakers, especially when you're in a base model, from the factory. And they sound like garbage. You know, they could stand max volume once for about 30 seconds before they blow. They did do a good job with that. The owner of this vehicle switched out the head unit from the stock digital head unit to the actual 8.1-inch Uconnect display. Why? Because it's a hell of a lot easier to operate, especially when you're going down the road. And Dodge is trying to do different things to help clean up the clusterfuck that is, I guess, the front console. I mean, you'll get a very weird shift lever like this. And the shifting pattern for this thing is 1 over, 1 over, 1 over. It's an automatic. Why isn't it a straight line? Make me feel like I'm actually shifting gears, so you don't accidentally go in the gear that you're going on? Well, there's a giant lit display right there that tells you what gear you're in. Automakers need to stop this shit. Seriously. These crazy shift patterns for an automatic transmission. Really, straight line. Come on, straight pull. Easy. Done. Over with. The end. Next. Because how much is the machine to fucking mold that plastic? Come on. Simple things to help save money, and they're aesthetically better looking. Why doesn't this have the dial that you can get in a Ram truck? And granted, that's one of my big hang-ups with the Ram truck, is it doesn't have a gear lever. It has a fucking dial. Park, reverse, neutral, drive. Why doesn't this have that? Same company. A dial would clean that whole area up. Make it look a lot more sleek, a lot more clean. No, instead they get this big wonky fucking gear shifter that looks like a ho-ho made out of plastic. And you have to go several different directions just to get to drive. Why? It's unnecessary. You know, why is the economy button to help the engine run better, or run for better fuel economy, right next to the hazard lights? Doesn't make a damn bit of sense. That should be over here by the transmission. Why is my traction control button a stretch for me to push? When I turn my traction control off, again, it should be over here on the driver's controls. It's weird design flaws like that. Weird design choice. I guess not flaws. Flaws is being unkind. It's design choices that kind of drive me a little nuts. Yes, I know you can get a Jake brake on the Rams now, which I have no idea why. You can also get a Jake brake on the Nissan Titans, too. Again, I have no idea why. And for those of you watching that have no idea what a Jake brake is, no, I'm not just saying that it's me standing in front of the car going, I got it. A Jake brake is nothing more than an exhaust brake. It helps slow the vehicle down. Why, full-size trucks have this? I don't know. It's not necessary. It's just more shit to go wrong. If you're pulling a trailer, you should have a trailer brake. That's simple. And Rams come with a trailer brake and a Jake brake. I'm not hauling 80,000 pounds. I'm not taking this vehicle all the way up to fucking Donner Pass trying to haul a bulldozer in a 1500. Why do I need a fucking Jake brake? Trailer brake will do just fine. Well, what if the trailer doesn't have trailer brakes? It's 2017. All trailers should have fucking trailer brakes by now. And if you're honestly operating a heavy-duty trailer that doesn't have a trailer brake, there's something wrong with you. Because it's just not safe. But back to the minivan. Would I recommend somebody buy one? Again, it's a good holdover. You know, if you got your heart set on a Dodge Durango or a Tahoe, but they're just out of your price range, but you need something that sits a lot of people, go for the Caravan. You know, drive the Caravan for a year or two. You know, it's just a girl you're dating. You're not marrying her. Drive it for a year or two when you can afford that Durango or you can afford that Tahoe and you trade it in. And that's exactly what people do that buy these things. For the most part, unless you buy it for a company like this. This van will probably be rolled around until it has 200 or 300,000 miles on it, and then it'll be fucking retired. The stowaway seating is great in these things, because with the stow and go seating and everything, all those seats in the back will literally fold flat into the floor. And then you have a lot of cargo space. That is nice. You know, the automatic door controls, those are nice. But in my mind, it's just one more thing to break. Because, I mean, how hard is it to open a door? But at the push of a button, I can open up both rear doors and the rear hatch. At the push of a button. And at the push of a button, the whole vehicle seals back up. Again, it does make for a nice kit, and it does make for a nice little hat trick. It does help move units. But again, you have to realize the more complicated you make a system, the more it's going to break down and the more expensive it's going to be to fix. Why is it there? And with these, if that electric motor burns out, you have a 50-50 shot of not being able to open that door until you fix the motor. Even manually. Because the whole thing runs on a hydraulic ram. Okay. Seems a little asinine, but if that's what the designers chose, it is a little shocking to drive it. It is. Because it does not handle like a van. And I had the grandfather to this one. I had a 99 Dodge Caravan, and it handled like a bloated elephant. It really did. But this, I mean, everything's tighter. The steering rack's tighter. The suspension's tighter. It's not going to win any performance races. It's really not. But this thing reacted faster than Nissan Sentras that I drove. It's a minivan. You know, and this is the front-wheel drive only version of the minivan. They do make an all-wheel drive version of this. It's usually only sold in mountainous areas. You know, but even with the front-wheel drive, it feels sure-footed unless you put your foot down. Because you could be sitting at a light and jump the throttle on this thing, and it will break loose. It will break the front tires loose. And holy shit, this thing torque steers like an absolute pig. An absolute fucking pig. What is torque steer? Torque steer is this, and it's usually only in front-wheel drive vehicles. If the wheel is straight, and you're sitting at a light, and you jump on the throttle, and that wheel pulls hard right or hard left, that's the torque of the front-wheel drive car steering it. That's when you know there's a little bit too much torque in the engine. This thing torque steers like an absolute pig. Like, literally, if I want to make a right-hand turn, I don't have to touch the wheel. I just have to jump on the throttle hard enough, and the fucking van will turn right. That's a little bit too much power to the front wheels. I mean, front-wheel drive cars ask a lot of the front wheels. They really do. They ask the front wheels to handle the steering, the braking, and the power. Okay. And it's rough. It can get real rough with a front-wheel drive vehicle. However, this one is not all over the place and sloppy like most. Yes, it does torque steer. That's easily get around. Just don't, try to Barry Bonds the fucking throttle the minute you want to go somewhere. This one will run, brand new, will run you about 28 Gs. But this is a base model. If you want the touring or the limited or the RT model, you're going upwards of 36 to 40,000, depending on how it's kitted. That's a lot of money for something that's meant to be used and thrown away. Like I said, it's not made very well, I guess. No, that's unkind. It's not that the craftsmanship in the vehicle is not good, because everything in here fits, nothing rattles, anything like that. It's just they used cheap materials. And if I'm spending $28,000 to $30,000 for a vehicle, it shouldn't feel cheap. It shouldn't. I mean, even this little chrome accent is plastic. It just has a chrome sticker on it. Would it have killed Dodge to actually put a real fucking chrome accent right there? Or even if they didn't want to do chrome, stainless steel. Stainless aluminum. Fucking brushed aluminum. The value isn't there. And that's... I know I may repeat that a lot, and I know it might sound like I'm up on my high horse, but the value isn't there for the money. It's not. It's not. Why? Say after tax, title, and license, I spent $35,000 on this car. Tax, title, and license, fees, all that other bullshit. You spend $35,000 out the door. All right. I use it for 2 years. It depreciates in value about as quickly as a Ferrari accelerates. So in 2 years, I go to trade it in, and they'll give me maybe $10,000, $12,000. All right, so I've lost over $20,000 in just depreciation. Now, for $40,000, which is a little bit more expensive, I could go buy a 2009 Landstar big rig, put that fucker to work, and it'll pay for itself in 2 months. I understand why they charge the amount of money they do for work trucks and semi-trucks, because they actually pay for themselves. This thing is not worth the money. The value is not there. You know, wait, if you, for some reason, you have to have a minivan. I just have to have a Dodge Caravan. It's the Apple iPhone of vehicles. I just have to have it. Then buy one that's about 2 years old. Buy one that's already taken that depreciation hit. And I mean, I know there's people out there that are hell-bent on buying new cars. They have to buy brand new every time. The trick with that is every time when you buy a new vehicle and the front wheels touch the pavement, it's over with.
You working, big guy?
Yes, I am. Y'all have a good night.